First question. Primero. ¿Quién empieza? No questions?
Buenos días, Darío Puig, Marca. Mister, ya toca ganar en Liga, ¿no? Desde que llegó usted han sido 3 empates, si mal no recuerdo, y es momento ya de que el equipo dé ese zarpazo de conseguir 3 puntos en un partido.
I completely agree. But it's difficult to win games in the Liga. But I agree, we need to win a game in the Liga. I said in the last week that I think that from the Villarreal second half, I think there have been improvements. I think you saw that against Real Madrid, I think you saw that against Granada, but we now need to convert. Oh.
¿Siguiente pregunta?
Hola, Sergio de la agencia EFE. Hemos visto, Alex nos ha comunicado que al final André Gómez no entra en la convocatoria. ¿Es una gran pérdida? ¿Le trastoca mucho los planes de cara al partido contra la Real?
It's probably been the big disappointment in the last week, but I have to say Andre wanted to train this morning, he wanted to play tomorrow. But we felt that there's no tear, there's no damage, there's no tear. But he just felt a little bit of tightness when he went to strike a ball in training on Thursday. And we just feel, adopting the same policy as I have done in the last 2-3 weeks since Christmas, that I won't take risks, no matter who the player is, as important as Andre is, that I won't take risks, that I'm thinking about the next 4 or 5 months, not the next 4 or 5 games. And Andre will be, I'm sure, available to train next week. Like I say, he wanted to train this morning. He's so eager and keen and desperate to play. But I think from our point of view, we just wanted to make sure we were absolutely certain that we weren't taking a risk. And I think that's sensible. I think in the pre-Christmas, obviously we've spoken a lot about injuries. And for me to stick to my plan and resist the temptation to play Andre Gomez obviously is something that means that I'm not just saying things, I'm actually following it up with actions. So it's not serious. He'll be ready to train next week with the group, and from my point of view I think it's obviously disappointing to lose any player, but the right decision.
Buenas, soy Obor del periódico Levante. Después de varias semanas en el equipo y de cara al partido de mañana, ¿qué sensaciones tiene Gary Neville respecto a lo que ha mejorado el equipo? ¿Qué es lo que más ha mejorado y qué es lo que más le falta por mejorar?
I think that the improvements from the second half against Villarreal, the game against Real Madrid, the game against Granada are obvious. Everybody can see them. We look more compact. We look less easy to counter-attack against. We look like we're building some relationships. I think we look a lot fitter and stronger. If you think about Villarreal in the second half, we were a stronger team. Against Real Madrid, in the second half, I felt we were a stronger team. And if you think about Granada, we were a stronger team as well. So I think that to me is a big plus. But we need to keep it going now. I don't feel like I'm not in a mood of we're doing well. Even though I think we're improving, I really want consistency every single game now. We need to repeat the performance level. I said before Granada that the players showed against Real Madrid a level of work ethic, application, desire, organisation, confidence and belief that now needs to be transmitted into every single match. We saw that against Granada, where the players continued it. Now we need to see it tomorrow against Real Sociedad, and again against Granada on Thursday, and again next weekend. And we have to keep going, because I understand the situation. It's only the very beginning of me being a head coach here in Valencia, but I think it's important for the fans, it's important for you, it's important for me, it's important for the players, that we continually see improvement. Every player in the squad is playing football, every player in the squad is getting lots of minutes, and tomorrow hopefully we'll have that energy, that freshness in the team again that will enable us to produce a good performance.
Aquí, Chema de Sport del Taller Deportivo, te quería preguntar por la Real Sociedad, que ha tenido un técnico británico esta temporada. ¿Cómo has visto tú a David Moyes en la Real Sociedad y qué ha dejado en este equipo y qué ha pasado para que tenga que cambiar a Eusebio? ¿Cómo lo has visto? Supongo que lo habrás estudiado.
I've seen obviously Real Sociedad games, a lot of them in the last few days in the preparation. I think that he's left a very good football team who like to play from the back. They like to build possession from the back and they split their centre backs. They've got good midfield players, and I think that obviously I think Real Sociedad, if we're not at our best tomorrow, if we're not compact, if we're not aggressive against the ball, then they're the type of team that can really play well against you. And they're the sort of messages that are, you know, like in every single game, the first thing you have to do obviously is stop the opposition, particularly playing away from home. And then we have to impose ourselves, our confidence and our belief on the game with our good players. But I think that's why I want to see a continuation of the performances that I've seen in the last week, because when you play against Real Madrid you obviously have to have full concentration, and it's no different tomorrow. They have some good players, they have good wide players, they have good midfield players who can pass the ball, and they build very well from the back through their goalkeeper, their two centre backs. So I think we'll have to make sure that we are compact and make sure we restrict the spaces. And you know, David Moyes has left a good team there. When I see them play in the games I've watched, you know, they're a good team. But any team in the Liga can cause you problems, particularly if you don't apply yourselves properly.
Aquí Pablo García para Deportes 4. Usted dijo después del partido contra el Real Madrid que confiaba que Negredo iba a meter un montón de goles. Luego al Granada le metió 3, ojalá siga la racha, ¿no?
Yeah, I think that Alvaro scored goals against Granada. I'm not surprised. I said that I thought he would. I said he deserved to play. But Paco is scoring goals, Rodrigo Moreno, Santimina. I need all my strikers to score goals. It's important that they all feel confident. And from that point of view, it's impossible to rely upon one person. But I think in the last 4 or 5 weeks that Alvaro has worked very hard. He's applied himself very well. He's doing everything that we would want him to do. And we're building him up to a point whereby he's looking very dangerous on the pitch. He's looking confident, and I think that's the same for also Paco, it's the same for Santimina, it's the same for Rodrigo Moreno, and they're all looking more confident than they did 4 or 5 weeks ago. The break before Christmas came at the right time, and it's enabled us to take, you know, I made 8 changes against Granada. And I think that if it goes wrong against Granada, I'm sure you'll be saying to me, oh, why did you change so many players? But I think it's absolutely critical that I respect the squad, I respect every player, that I trust every player, and that I believe in their abilities to perform the same as the other players in the team. When you only play 11 players every week and only play the same players, they can become overworked, and the players who don't play can become underworked. And I don't want to get into a situation where I need a player to come into the team for any game and he's not sharp, not match fit. I need them all to be match fit and make sure that because we've got a lot of games coming up, a lot of games. And going back to Alvaro, he's doing very well, as are a number of other players.
Enrique Ximeno de VCF Play. Mister, ¿puede valorar la vuelta de Mustafi al equipo? Un jugador importante.
Yes, Mustafi wanted to play against Real Madrid. Mustafi wanted to play against Granada, but we have resisted up until now in terms of, you know, I won't disclose whether he's playing tomorrow or not, but I think it's very important when you have a hamstring injury like Mustafi had, that we respect this injury. This is a dangerous injury, it's an injury that can return. And the way in which Mustafi plays the game, it's all action, he's ferocious, he plays very fast and aggressive, and I think it's important that we've given him a good length of time to recover, to build up his strength in the hamstring and the fitness, and now he's looking fantastic in training. He'll be in the squad tomorrow, but I think that hopefully we'll reap the rewards and the benefits of that extra little bit of training time and recovery. We won't receive a re-injury. But I'm happy to have him back. And also just an injury update. Bakali has trained with us all week. Jose Gaia has trained with us for the last 3 days. They won't be in the squad tomorrow to follow the procedure that I've been following. They will get extra training and extra work with the coaches, with the fitness team, so that they can be ready when they come back to play for 4 months. And I think there's just an important update that those two have also been training, and we again have resisted the temptation to bring them immediately back into the playing squad.
Hola, mister. Tony de las Provincias. Me gustaría saber si está al tanto de cómo marcha la negociación para renovar a Ceuli y finalmente si cree que renovará con el Valencia.
I'm not fully aware of the negotiations between the club and Soso. All I know is that, and I spoke to the doctor again this morning about Soso, that he's working very, very well, and that hopefully, if things continue to progress, he progresses every single day, and we hope to try and have him back in training with us as soon as possible. In terms of the contract negotiations, I think you obviously expect a respect. I don't do the contract negotiations. It's the club that take these contract negotiations, and that from my point of view, I let the club continue to move forward with those contract negotiations and see where it goes. But I'm interested in Soso, the football player, and how we recover him as quickly as possible. And his work ethic that he's showing is good, and that hopefully that we'll get him back on the training pitch next week. And when I sit down with you next week, hopefully I'll be able to say that Soso has trained with us. I'm not promising that because I'm not sure yet, but I think that hopefully we'll be in that position very soon.
Mister, ahora mismo queda todavía 19 jornadas de la segunda vuelta más el partido de la Real Sociedad. El equipo está a 13 puntos del cuarto clasificado, que es Champions. ¿Hay suficiente tiempo para poder restar esa diferencia de puntos?
We obviously have time, but we need to put a run together of games, a run of victories, and it needs to be a sustained run of victories with a sustained level of performance. And to do that, with the Copa del Rey demands and the Europa League demands, we're going to need a full squad. And at the moment, I'm trying to build block by block, that to try and focus everything on getting every single player as fit as possible, so that we can then challenge on all fronts and create sustained levels of performance every 3 or 4 days, is my absolute intent. We're getting there. There aren't too many players now that are injured. You know, we're talking now 2 or 3 players that are now injured. When I came, it was 7 or 8. I think in Burundi in the first press conference, we were talking about 7, 8, 9 players. Now we're talking about 2 or 3 players. So from my point of view, the challenge obviously depends upon form, but it also depends upon making sure that every player is prepared, ready for the rest of the season. I feel as though we're moving in the right direction in that respect. And yes, we obviously have some catching up to do. We've fallen some points behind. And we need to start putting together a sustained run of victories to be able to actually say yes, we're in contention again. But one moment at a time, I think, is where I'm at this moment.
Ana de Antena 3 está hablando de que se vacía la enfermería, de que es una buena noticia, pero ¿es un lujo o es un problema tener 3 porteros del nivel de los que tiene el Valencia?
Goalkeepers or all the players? Goalkeepers. No, I think I've said to the players this morning that it's something that was said to me often during my career when I was playing, that when you have 22 players fit or 3 goalkeepers fit, you're always going to have 11 people slightly disappointed. But I think as long as the players can see that I'm trying to be fair, that I'm trying to include, I'm not excluding, I'm including every single player. There isn't one player, apart from obviously the injured player, injured 1 or 2 players, that hasn't played football under Gary Neville in this last 4 or 5 weeks. And I came here and said that I would give every player a clean start, and that no player would be excluded, no player would be have favouritism, and I think that I've stuck to my word. And I think that with the goalkeepers, to get back to your conversation, to the question, it would be a luxury to have 3 fantastic goalkeepers. It would be a luxury to have 2, fantastic players in each position, so that we're able then to have selection rather than get over. There was a situation before Christmas where lots of players have played every single game and they've not had a rest. And I don't want to be in a position whereby every single player plays every game and then we have a drain on their energy system. We then pick up injuries and you're in a vicious cycle. So I think to have goalkeepers fit is fantastic. I think to have players in every single position fit is a luxury. I would never see it as a problem. It causes disappointment, of course it does. When players don't play, they're disappointed, but that would be natural. I'd be disappointed if they weren't disappointed.
Hola, buenos días, Gary. Julián Burgos de AS. La semana pasada usted tuvo una reunión con el dueño del club, con Peter Lim. Supongo que no podrá desvelar el contenido de información porque es una reunión privada, pero ¿podría confirmar si el club va a trabajar en refuerzos o lo contrario, si se cierra la puerta a cualquier refuerzo ahora en el mercado de enero?
It actually wasn't a private meeting. It was in the main lobby of a hotel, and we didn't go into a private room. We just had a coffee. I had a latte. I don't know what he had. Can't remember. But it wasn't a very private meeting. If we were going to have a very private meeting around something that was really top secret, we would not do it in the main lobby of probably the most one of the most popular hotels in Valencia. So I think from my point of view, I don't see it as this secret private meeting. The owner was over from Singapore to watch the Real Madrid game. The day after the game, I went to have a coffee with him. We had about a chat for about an hour about various things. But in terms of signings, honestly, I've said from day one that the most important players are the ones that are here, that I need to get them all fit. I feel as though we're moving in the right direction. And January it's a ridiculous month to conduct business. It really is a ridiculous month to conduct business. Who sells you players in January that they want? Who gives you players? And if you do that, the market is so difficult in January. I think that's something that the January window was brought in to restrict and to try and assist and bring more calm to the transfer market. I actually think maybe it's caused something the other way. It created this frenzy, this window of frenzy, where not a lot happens. In the last few years, some transfers go through, but very rarely now do you see big transfers in January. You get the odd one, but you don't see a major lot of transfers. You might get a little bit of a player go here, a player go there, but everybody does their main transfer signings in the summer. And what was intended to be a positive for football, I'm not quite sure has been a positive for football. It's just created a month of madness.
Buenas tardes, Gary. Pascual Calabuch de Superdeporte. Muchas veces los entrenadores suelen decir que la Liga es la competición madre, la más importante. ¿Cree que ha llegado el momento para el Valencia de tratar por igual o pensar que la Liga Europa o la Copa del Rey son más importantes o por lo menos igual? ¿Y existe el convencimiento dentro del equipo de que pueden ganar la Liga Europa o la Copa del Rey?
Honestly, and I'm not giving you a bland answer, I don't know how, as a football player or as a football coach, I can sit here in front of you and say I prioritise this match, that match, that match. It's impossible. all I can see in the mentality of a football player or of a football coach is that you give your maximum every single day and every single match. And to say that you give, what does prioritise mean? Does prioritise mean that you give more effort in one game than another? That's impossible in football, right? You have to give your maximum effort for that football shirt, for the badge, every single match. We play Real Sociedad tomorrow. It's a priority. When I do my press conference with you on Wednesday before the Granada game, you'll be asking me the same question again, and I'll be telling you that Granada is a priority. Because I cannot differentiate between a football match in one competition or another. I can only see that we pick a team to try and win every single game, and that we give our maximum effort in every single game. And I don't know any different. I'm trying to come up with a different explanation, but I cannot think about it. As a player, when I played in 4 competitions in England, a Champions League or the League Cup or the FA Cup, or I just think, right, League Cup, we have to win. FA Cup, we have to win. Champions League, we have to win. Premier League, we have to win. And the same, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Europa League, we have to win. We have to win. It's the expectation of the fans, it's the expectation of me, it's the expectation of the players, it's the expectation in the club that we have to win and look at every single game with equal importance and not prioritise. I don't know how you prioritise. If you can explain to me how you prioritise and it guarantees that we win one competition, then let me know and I'll...
Bueno, muchas gracias como siempre a todos. Buenas tardes.
Finish? Thank you. See you tomorrow. See you.